Minnesota Vikings were definitely a team that needed to upgrade their secondary in this offseason. And after free agency, with barely addressing it, only really bringing back Patrick Peterson, but not really bringing in anyone new, I thought the NFL draft was this is where they were going to attack it and attack it early and often, and that's what they did. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, people are still out there saying he did not have that strong of a draft. And the more I look into it, the more I keep diving into these prospects and these players we've brought in, the more I think they're wrong. I think he had a very strong draft. He really addressed his secondary. I'm going to be talking about Andrew Booth Jr., Lewis Cine, and then the sleeper, Akayleb Evans, the corner from MIZZOU. Keep your eyes out on him. I'll explain everything you guys need to know about these three players. Let's get into it right now. So I think the overarching theme really with bringing in these three guys is the Vikings wanted to bring in some physicality to the cornerback room. And if you look at the Vikings last season, their corners and their safety positions, besides Harrison Smith, it was frankly one of the softest groups in the NFL. And I hate using the word soft, especially against my own team, calling your own guys soft. But that was the vibe. That was the feeling I got when the Vikings secondary was lining up against a receiving core. I just felt like they could get pushed over. I thought even in the run game, I know sometimes Dantzler would try to show some sort of physicality from the secondary, but it really just wasn't there. Obviously he's a little on the lighter end, so he can really lay the boom as these other guys can. But if you're looking at who we drafted, that seems like that was something where when they were going through their process and they saying, we lack a lot of physical corners. These were the three guys that I think they had circled on their big boards and saying physical, physical, and physical. Starting with Lewis Cine, the safety from Georgia. Throw his highlights on here now. He is an absolute mauler. I mean, this dude, he literally looks like a train coming down the train tracks, and he is hitting the running back, hitting the tight end, whoever it may be. He's a mauler, and I think he's more of a true box safety than Harry is. He also played a lot of time in the slot at Georgia too, so he can man up. He's a very versatile guy, and that's kind of the overarching theme with all three of these guys. Lewis Cine, I feel like he's more of a true safety, obviously, since he played it at college. He can also play deep safety looks, but he's a menace in the box. And then also, I'll throw a couple highlights here of him guarding tight ends. And I think the tight end is such a valuable position in the NFL now. Having a guy, and having just another guy, because we know Harrison Smith is very good against tight ends, but now they have two guys who I would feel really comfortable with manning up against tight ends. Lewis Cine, he does a great job of reading the breaks on the top of a route, which pretty much cuts down the amount of routes a guy can run in half, and he's a very intellectual player. He understands this. Lewis Cine, though, you can see him right now against man-to-man against tight ends. He's a versatile dude. He's a hungry player, and he gets after it. And again, physical, physical, physical. All right, so Andrew Booth Jr., this is the steal of the draft, in my opinion. This was the best pick Kwesi had all day, all weekend. He took Andrew Booth Jr. and 42nd overall, and this dude is rangy. I love that word rangy when describing corners, because you go throw on his highlights, you go throw on some of his interceptions. He is rangy. He's a rangy MFer. I'm probably showing you guys the highlight of him with the one-handed interception right now. I mean, that was a top 5 play I've seen from a college corner over the last 30 years. I mean, college defender over the past 30 years. He's a stud. Booth Jr., he also, again, he's this short, kind of stocky. Not short. I shouldn't call him short. He's like 6 foot. He's 5'11". But he's got this kind of pack to him. He's got this condensed body where he brings that boom, and he's hitting guys. Again, he plays with this swagger. I think corners with swagger, just a personality thing, is something I'm always looking for, is how swaggy they are. And I know that may sound corny to a lot of you guys, but can they play with confidence after getting beat? Can they bounce back? Do they have that recovery speed? And that has to do with swagger. Being able to put the play behind you and say, you know what, I'm still the best corner on this field. He's still getting locked up next play. I think Andrew Booth, he is going to be a guy. He could be our cornerback 1, and I originally said in a video he could be our CB1 November, December. The more I look into it, this guy might have been the second corner in the draft. And also, I don't think it's crazy to call Lewis Cine the best safety in the draft. Can everybody just pause on that Kyle Hamilton's such night and day ahead of Lewis Cine. But those two, they're going to be great additions. Akayleb Evans, a corner from MIZZOU. This guy is a sneaky prospect. And this is Quezzy hopping in his bag. This is just Quezzy. You know, there's a funny quote on him. It was a little creepy, honestly. Quezzy was saying, like, oh, yeah, Akayleb Evans, he was one of those guys that I would stay up late at night watching his draft day film. And I absolutely love that. It kind of speaks to the person that Quezzy is. He's just constantly thinking about how we can get this team better and how we can get him to the next level. But again, physicality, and this dude is long. This dude is 6'2", 200 pounds. I'll throw his raw scores up on the board, kind of the chart that shows all of his measurables. He is off the charts in all of them. I mean, there's going to be a lot of green right here. There's going to be a lot of green shown. He's a stud. They took him at 118th overall, which was an absolute steal. A lot of guys had him ranged. I mean, I saw him on a couple of big boards at the 90s, and then I saw him also at the 140s. One thing with him, though, he is very raw. He has a ton of raw talent. It's not a lot of honed in skill. It's more of we have to do the honing. We have to hone his craft with the Vikings. But the physicality, it's all there. It's just going to be technique with him probably all summer. And I could see him. He's going to put a lot of pressure on Cameron Dantzler as to be that X corner. He's going to try to take that job, and I think he might have a chance. Let me know what you guys think about the 3 guys the Vikings added into the secondary over the draft. I think they're all huge. Bring a sense of physicality to the secondary that we lacked last season. Let me know what you guys think down below. Skol Vikes.